Hey there, people of the internet, friends and family. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, your boy, D-Rex. I recently just got back from vacation in Philadelphia, attending WrestleMania 40 with my brother. We had a really good time out there. WrestleMania weekend was amazing. We also did some sightseeing at the Independence Hall. Saw the Liberty Bell, and of course we went to the Museum of Art. Got a photo with the Rocky statue, and if anyone asks, yes, I did run up the stairs just like how Rocky did in the Rocky film. But more importantly, for today's video, as you read the title and as you can see here, or actually just a little background, just days prior to the official release of the Xenoblade 3 Aionios Moment art book, which my copy came in while I was out in Philadelphia, along with my own Mio Figma toy here, which I will be doing a review here in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. But as I was saying, it was some information was leaked. Someone took the time to basically they somehow got their hands on some information, translated it to English, and some of the big reveals that were revealed as it were was Malos and Fiora. So quickly, we will be going over a couple things in this article. So spoilers for those who haven't finished Xenoblade 3 or its DLC, Future Redeemed. But yeah, and so like I said, I was already on my way to Philadelphia when this was out. So one of the things I was going to do as soon as I got back from that trip was to discuss some of this stuff, because there is actually a lot of interesting information here. And this is the author. I am Lugal Banda. Yeah, I'm not doing that name justice. But yeah, no. Anyway, let's just go right ahead and jump in. I'm not gonna cover everything about this. There's stuff about the Black Fog, but for the purposes of this video, we are gonna start here, commenting on End Sword. Let me highlight this just to make it easier for you guys to read. Commenting on End Sword. What's inside the Sword of the End that End holds? That would be Lagos. I mean, it's Malos, but Malos, for the time being, is dead or has disappeared. As to why Malos is there, I'm sorry about this, but I can't answer that at this point. And this is Takahashi, the creator of Xenoblade, talking. But what N is holding there, that is Malos himself. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, at the end of Future Redeemed, when Shulk and Rex were giving their life force to their respective kids, so their kids weren't in this infinite cycle of life and death that Aionios runs on, A mentions how they are breaking the rules by doing so, but Rex makes the comment that they wouldn't mind, or they would do it, and the camera cuts to End's Sword of the End, and Matthew, who is the lead protagonist of Future Redeemed, his gauntlets, which just prior to the ending was revealed that the Numa core crystal was inside. So when you put two and two together, it's like, okay, that must be Malos. And honestly, at the time, I was like, well, wait a minute, but Malos is dead. He spoilers, he died in Xenoblade 2. But the more I thought of so I went back, watched it, and it's like, oh no, wait a minute, duh, you heard his voice at the end of the game, right before Numa blew up the world tree to protect Allrest. And it really clicked. It's like, oh, wait a minute though, these are the Aegis blades. They don't follow traditional rules as normal blades do. And if you look at the real world influence and conception of the characters of the Trinity processor, it is inspired. There's the inspiration for that comes from the Holy Trinity in Christianity, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. With, I believe, if I remember correctly, Malos was inspired by the Son, Jesus Christ. And if you know the story of Jesus, is he died on the cross. 3 days later, he was resurrected back to life. And the way, and when he says for the time being is dead or has disappeared, and honestly, it's like, well, wait a minute. So actually, no, Mouse, he could still be dead at this point, but maybe somewhere down the line, his core crystal will, it's still in the process of repairing, and even if though he died, the power is still within that core crystal to use in whatever shape, way, or form. So this information isn't too mind blowing, but it's still interesting nonetheless. And of course, Matthew's gauntlets, those are Pyra and Mithra, which it's pretty obvious. They made it clear as day, really. This is the big one that everyone was really talking about, from what I could see on the internet, regarding Lucky 7. And Lucky 7, which Noah came to wield, this is actually, this is not mentioned within the story, but Fiora is inside of it. In regards to the above statement about Lucky 7, nobody that was present for the interview seemed to be aware of this information, and this statement caused a bit of a stir, with all of them simply asking in response, Fiora. Okay, so honestly, when I first read that though, I felt like Takahashi was contradicting himself a little bit here, because in Future Redeemed, there is a cutscene with the Nopon Riku. He's explaining to Matthew the origins of Lucky 7, and he talks about how within Lucky 7 there are souls empowering it, giving it power. And during my live stream, I made a comment, or I was thinking about it, and it's like, okay, well, we have all these callbacks. 3 and Future Redeemed have a lot of callbacks to 1 and 2. So it's like, oh, wait, maybe, Fiora is one of these supposed souls in there. And so, not really, I guess I shouldn't say really contradicting, because either way, Fiora is in the sword, but this statement, makes it sound like, Fiora is the only one within that sword. And going on, of course, it's like, why is Fiora a sword? Well, elaborating on it, he states, while some people like Shulk and Rex appear in this world in the flesh, some people appear as an object that is an expression or reflection of their traits or thoughts. Things like, how can I change this world? I think this is the best way to do so. Think of it as something like that. Okay, so, the people, appearing as objects. Now, of course, we know that, like, Origin, when the worlds were to collide, Origin basically took all the souls and kept them safe, locked up or whatever. So and of course, as we know from Future Redeemed, Melia was the one who forged Lucky 7. So I wonder if either during the planning process of all this, if Fiora said, hey Melia, if for whatever reason you need a weapon or whatever, and you can use my soul to empower this thing, or Melia just decided to use Fiora's soul because Fiora had a really major role in Xenoblade 1. I mean, the whole journey started in 1 because she died. That set Shulk on his quest, and I mean, basically from what I can tell, with almost any story you have this hero, is it always starts because of a girl. I mean, Shulk with Fiora, Rex with Pyra, and Xenoblade 3 Matthew with Mio. And speaking of Mio, the art book, some of the concept art for Mio, oh my gosh, she looks beautiful. And I mean I don't agree with what N did, but I can understand. And I really hope maybe in like a update patch or a patch note or whatever, we get some of those concept arts as skins. But what I find interesting is how Lanz's design barely changed at all. But you can, I guess, Lanz's already was perfection. He's the MVP for a reason. But yeah, going back to how people appear as objects. Well, if you scroll down this article, and of course this is in the book, though, because I can't read Japanese. I took a Google Translate to try to read as much as I can, but Google Translate isn't exactly 100% accurate with the translations. I think it's a missed marketing opportunity not to sell these type of books in actual, in English. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having it in its native language. There's no problem with that. But for me as a consumer, I would like an English version. But regardless, moving down here though, there's kind of a more of a expansion upon the above statements here. Since there is great interest in it, I will also translate what follows the quote above. You had to collect origin shards at the end of the main story, right? There's nothing concretely decided in terms of who is what shard, but you never know. Maybe those shards could be Rhine. In broad strokes, if you think about it in this way, it shouldn't be wrong. And so yeah, I mean, the fact that people may appear as objects, I didn't even think of that through the main game. When you had to collect the shards, I believe it was to upgrade Lucky 7 to give it a little more power to fight Mobius. As one shard could have been Rhine, another shard could have been Dunban, maybe Morag, maybe Zeke. I mean, we don't really know for sure. And because the art book, it does give some answers to some questions, but of course, like with the Malos one, we get a little bit of an answer, but yet still, kind of vague, and that's kind of the whole thing with 3. It was more of a, we're gonna wrap up the story, involving Klaus and his involvement, from his misuse of the conduit, and now how his misuse of it. Well, nature's trying to fix that. But leaving the door open enough for future content, and hopefully in the future, if and when more games and stuff like that come out, hopefully we get more answers to these questions. And on the subject of Lucky 7, we can't really forget about Riku, because I already mentioned him already. But this little bit of information here is very important. On the subject of Riku, he says, referring to Takahashi, Riku, he's sly. He's doing all these things while completely understanding everything that's going on. When he says in the city, meh, there's something tiny and cute over there. He's saying that on purpose to bring attention to it, saying, hey, look here, there's a really tiny person, and look, it's different from you guys. And getting an emotional response out of them, I suppose, which totally did. He's a bit two-faced, isn't he? His master pawn is Melia, so Melia has entrusted him with what is basically Fiora, and of course he is also one of Ricky's sons. Yes. Okay, so 2 things. 1, Hero Pawn Ricky's got such a huge legacy for a no pawn. I mean, who says great things don't come in small packages? When he started as a no pawn who became the hero pawn to pay off a debt to his tribe, ended up helping save the world. 2 of his kids helped Melia reclaim her kingdom, and another kid basically was a deep undercover agent trying to just find the right person to give Lucky 7 to. And of course, for Melia to hand over Lucky 7 to Ricky says a lot, how much she trusts Ricky, especially with who I would argue is probably one of her closest and best friends besides Shulk. And on a side note, I think the friendship between Melia and Fiora is so underrated. If you read the extra story in the definitive art book for Xenoblade 1, you see how Melia would stay up late at night with Fiora to help her ease through the pain of her, or just comfort her while her body is kind of like slowly shutting down. But I'm segueing from the main topics of this video. But this last part, speaking about Riku's explanation about the Lucky 7 and its grandiose origins, specifically about the line 7 legendary swordsmith pawn over a course of 7 years, forged from 7 types of steel. Takahashi says those were convenient lies that Riku made up. So the part about Takahashi saying that was Fiora, when Riku in that dialogue with Matthew said many souls, maybe that was just something he just made up. I don't know what you guys think. But there's actually one more thing. It's about the city people. Let's see if I can find it here. Speaking about the people of the city, he has this to say. After that, it's time to say farewell. It's split It's split between the Kevis, the people of Bionis, and the Aionios, the people of Allrest. And in another corner, there's the people of the city. And those three make up the structure. But I saw quite a number of comments in the survey, which I didn't know there was a Q&A survey. Because if I did, I would have thrown my own question in, like, how did Grandpa Gondor get to 10 years old during his parents' last 10th term? It's like, how did he age so fast but then mellow out, age normally after that? It didn't quite make a whole lot of sense. So they're asking about what happened to the people in the city. So to answer that, and this is something that I believe you can also understand from the information given in the story, but the people of the city, their life that doesn't exist in the original two worlds, which is kind of obvious. And yet they still exist despite the origin being something like a memory machine that collected data from both of the worlds. This is, in fact, a suggestion that the two worlds will become one, and that these people will absolutely be born in that future. That's the structure. So yes, Gondor, Monica, they will be born in the new world. Which honestly, for me, this is bittersweet because, like, yes, we might see them again in future games. Of course, they won't be the same Monica, the same Gondor as we knew them in 3. But the fact that even characters like Shania, hopefully they have a better life than they had in Aionios. But yeah, it's really nice to hear that yes, they will be around in the future. And the last thing though that really stood out to me was the aging of Rex and Shulk, because I'm not the only one who had that question. Because like, well, wait a minute, this war has been going on for hundreds and nearly thousands of years. How are they still alive? But let's see if I can find it. All right, here it is. Speaking on that subject, Kojima notes that some survey responders asked about why Shulk and Rex have lived for such a long time, to which Takahashi responds, Shulk and Rex haven't lived long, have they? Origin is only a recreation of the worlds that used to exist, and if you think of them as being emulated, they should only be able to live what their lifespan is. Shulk and Rex say to defeat Alpha some years after arriving to Aionios, and they shift to sustain the world after that. But how should I say this? Their rank. Their rank is the same as Alvis and the rest of the Trinity processor, and this is also true for Melia, Mia, and Fiora, who possessed Manus Minato. In other words, if the admin handles it, anything can be done. If the source code of that world is written as a recreation of reality, then if, for example, the lifespan was set as 80 years old, when they say they can give their lifespan to Glimmer Nickel, they can if they rewrite the code, but you normally shouldn't do that because you don't know what kind of glitches will occur. In response, A says this is against the rules, and that's sort of the idea there. So according to this, they still aged normally, but here's the thing, for context, it's the wording here. Let's see, after arriving to Aionios. Now, this is just my interpretation of it. Let me know your guys' thoughts. So given I'm trying to think of the flashback sequence Noah had, reliving all the memories of, N's memories of, him and Mio dying, coming back to life, fighting Mobius, and just endless cycle. I think that we saw at least 5 flashbacks, give or take. So, of course, you need to take into account, other times prior. So let's see, 10. So they were in their 9th year, their 9th term, towards the end of their 10th. So, and I'm just spitballing here. Yeah, we're just gonna shoot 5. I can't for the flashback. So nearly 50 years, and we'll add another 20. So that's 70. Okay, so Gondor, by the time of Future Redeemed, he looks to be about in his 60s, 70s. We'll highball it. We'll do 70. So 70 plus 70, 140 years. Okay, we're lowballing the number. So for 140 or 130, 40 years, we'll do 130 years because prior to Alpha, awakening, Shulk and Rex were still fighting Mobius. So about 130 years during the into Aionios' existence, Shulk and Rex then appeared into the world, and they kind of figure out quickly what's happening, what happened to Melia, what happened to Nia, or at least have an idea. So then they rally their forces, and of course they are raising Linka and Panacea respectively. But so yeah, that answer actually answers my question about like how old are they. But the only thing that's changed is their rank. They've elevated to the same status as the Trinity processor. But I talked long enough. Guys, there was just a ton of information to go through in this book. I just wanted to highlight a lot of the stuff that stood out to me. But I digress. What did you think about some of this information that came out? Like I said earlier, I will link this in the description, so you guys want to go ahead and check it out, do so. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me, and this is me reminding you that life is a journey worth exploring. Catch you later.